Oilers Stars Game 3 NHL Western Conference Finals right here on PuckTime, powered by WagerTalk TV. I'm Andrew, and I've got Carmine with me to break down this game from a side, total, or prop perspective. And we're also going to look at some in-series prices for both the East and the West as far as the current numbers and the future odds, and also the Conn Smythe Trophy Awards. Carm, good morning to you, my friend. How was your weekend, and what are your thoughts as we approach Game 3, Oilers and Stars?
Weekend was good overall, Andrew. The weather was great. That's pretty much it. No, last 7 days it's been like treading water. I looked at my last 7 days of Wager Talk. It's like literally 1 unit, 1 unit up, and I'm like, come on, man, it's not good enough. Florida yesterday for me, losing OT. Um, it was a good game. That's all I'm going to say. It was a good game. I was out at a poker tournament at a friend's place. Prez was there. He didn't have any action on the game, but obviously I had Florida. I was trying to watch the game while playing. And the guy whose house I was at, Andrew, before we get into this game, his feed was so delayed. I think he's using like one of those IPTVs that I'm like, it was 4-2 for the Rangers. And I'm like, okay, well, this game's done. It's 4-2. And my buddy across the table goes, "What are you talking about? The game's tied." I'm like, yeah, and I didn't know the feed was behind. It was actually 4-4 in the game when it was 4-2 on the TV. It was like I thought the guy had tomorrow's newspaper. But with that said, Rangers, man, they dug deep. They found a way to win. I think Florida, um, I, probably one of their worst games of the playoffs. You shouldn't get scored on a 4 minute power play, but that's yesterday. Dan, our producer, says, forget about yesterday. Let's talk about today. And today's what we're talking about, Andrew, tonight. Game 3, Edmonton Oilers, Dallas Stars. Stars have been good on the road. Well, I think they're like 5-1 on the road in these playoffs. Not that great at home, but the series is tied at 1-1. You're going to get a much better price now. And we're going to talk about prices, Andrew, shortly. But much like that Rangers one that was plus 240 after they lost game one, you've got a good price on the Rangers right now. If you took that plus 40, you're sitting pretty right now, at least as far as plus money goes. And the Dallas Stars were plus 160 after losing to the Oilers in game one. The Oilers were minus 190 after game one. And now that's pretty much evened itself out. But the venue switches. Andrew, the Oilers are generating 3.83 goals per game at home. And they're 3.88. At home, they're generating, 3.88. Overall, 3.83. And scoring wise, 4.33 goals they're actually scoring. So they're exceeding their XG numbers as far as scoring at home. This is one of those ones where, I have a couple plays at Wager Talk. So read between the lines, guys, on this one. I like I like the Oilers here in game 3. I think as good as Dallas has been on the road thus far in these playoffs, this is the best scoring team that they have faced, the most dangerous scoring team that they have faced. More than one line can score. They played the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't think more than one line on that team could score in the playoffs. Unfortunately, they played the Colorado Avalanche. Other than that top line, and they had some injuries, obviously, that they dealt with in that series. The Oilers got scoring. They have secondary scoring. They have a power play that can score as well too. I think the Oilers are the right play tonight. You're getting a real low price on them. I don't think they've been minus 130 at home in the playoffs thus far. So that's a very good price on them. If you like the Stars, I don't think you're getting enough value on the Stars. You're getting like plus 110. Some place you might find plus 115. I still like the Oilers in this spot, but much like game 3 yesterday, I think we're going to see some scoring in this game, Andrew, as well too. So I would lean to the over in this one as well too, which as I volley it back to you, Andrew, with the French Open currently underway, and I was watching the Nadal match. I'm going to volley it back to you, Andrew. because I know that if I'm leaning Oilers and the over, you must have like a team total or something for me.
Well, they've proven they can win some low scoring games, Carm, but you're right. I mean, they're playing at home, and this is where the team total has come into play the most for this Oilers team, the over 3.5 with their team total. But, Carm, there's been 4 games so far across these conference finals, only one game going over, and that's yesterday, and that's with a rare sighting of Bobrovsky letting in, over 3 goals, which is something we don't usually see, and some goals kind of squeaking in that they might want to have back. It's probably about the Rangers and the Panthers with some of those goals. But Carm, sometimes in a series we see it really start slow and then pick up, or we see it start fast and then slow down as far as what the totals are. We might find out here tonight if it's going to be very similar to what we saw in Florida yesterday, as you mentioned, or we're going to see continuous low scoring defensive hockey. If you notice, Dallas and Edmonton scored pretty much back to back on Saturday. They scored right next to each other pretty much. After the puck was dropped, there was a new play, and all of a sudden the game was tied up again. But then after that, it took quite some time for the next goal to happen. And then the next goal, and all of a sudden the game finishes 3-1. And Carm, the website that Brian likes looking at with Money Puck, and you and I enjoy looking at it too, I was looking across the board here. The chances seem pretty much even. The expected goals were not too tilted in favor of one team or the other. The fact of the matter is, in that game, and this is how it's going to work sometimes in the playoffs, guys, the Dallas Stars, they just got the job done. And, people talk about depth, and I think the depth might have been on full display. But as we always say, Carm, when you go home, you really should be just satisfied with the fact that you got the split. And I think that right now, this Edmonton team should be satisfied with getting the split. If you want to talk about expected goal numbers from the last game, the exact numbers, 3.31 to 3.16 in favor of the Edmonton Oilers. And you look at the shot count numbers, very similar as well, only a differential of a couple shots. The only thing that really was different was Dallas had a lot more hits. I think they had about 10 more hits than the Edmonton Oilers did. Takeaways were a little bit different. When it comes down to it, Dallas just got the job done, and they got the job done in front of their home crowd. So, Carm, I like how we didn't talk about this before the show, but you kind of knew where I was going to go here. And it's a really good price, man. I'm telling you, it's a really good price. You shop around and you can get an even better one compared to what your usual books are, but plus 140, plus 145 are the current prices for the Edmonton Oilers to reach 4 goals. And I know some people might say, are you really going to do that bet against a goaltender like Jake Ottinger? And I get it. Trust me, I understand. But there's a big but in the equation here. Dallas does not have the favorable matchups anymore, Carm. Any team that plays against Edmonton, remember how much different Edmonton was against Vancouver when they had home ice? They were a much different team. You give Edmonton the matchups they want. When it's an icing, sure, you get to use those advantages. But now, every single time, the Oilers get to put out the players that they'd want to match up against the players against Dallas. Don't get me wrong, Dallas with Heiskanen and Tanev and those guys, they do have a good defensive core, but that should really make a difference. So, Carm, it's one of those ones here, man, where we have been seeing a lot of low-scoring games recently. So you pretty much got to cross your fingers. You almost need like 1 or 2 goals in the first period to feel good about any over or even a team total over at this point with some of these goaltenders. And I'm going to say this again because, I'm not a Stuart Skinner fan, but Carm, I think people have to give this guy his respect because, he got pulled from the last series for about a game or two, but he's looked just as good. He's looked strong in this series as well. He looks like he certainly belongs here. I'll have some props to mention moving forward, but I do lean towards the Edmonton side, bouncing back in this one. It's probably going to be about a half unit for me, sprinkled on that team total, the plus 145 there, for them to reach the 4-goal mark. As I mentioned, they can win games without scoring 4 goals. We've seen it now, I believe, 3 or 4 times this playoffs. But in this series, to start things off, they won it in low scoring fashion. That was the double overtime game. And then, of course, we're hoping now in this one, they can get to 4 goals for us at a nice plus price. For anybody interested, current number for Dallas's team total is actually 2.5 to the over, minus 135. Their 3.5 is as high as plus 180. So very interesting stuff there, Carm. But yeah, I mean, you kind of teed me up there, and I'm right there with you on some goals, hopefully, for tonight.
Andrew, I'm going to add to that in a second, but I would be remiss if I did not mention, obviously, it's Memorial Day. So as you guys are hoisting whatever drink you have, whether it's an alcoholic beverage or whether it's just an iced tea, to remember the fallen heroes, guys, that fought for your freedom. Um, it's it's one of those days of the year that you have to appreciate it 365 days a year, but more so on this day, Memorial Day. So I want to make sure we got that message out to you guys. Andrew, I think last week someone had asked about if you like the Rangers, taking the Rangers with a shot prop, and they were like minus 110. The Rangers were in that game. And my thought was the price is so low that why pair it with something else if you think they're going to win? And you're talking about the goal props for Edmonton, and the 3.5 is obviously you're getting some very good plus money. The 2.5 is minus 170, and you don't want to be playing the 2.5 170s. So my next thought is if you take it in a same game parlay, the Edmonton Oilers and over 2.5 goals scored, you're getting even money. But in doing that, Andrew, am I essentially going against the advice I gave out the last time where the minus 110 price is good enough? Are the Oilers at minus 130? Is that price fair enough or good enough where you just play it alone and not worry about it? Because if the Oilers win 2-1, that ticket blows up on even
Right.
money, but it would have cashed at minus 130. What are your thoughts, Andrew? Overthinking it?
Well, I do like that idea. I think Carm, before the series started, if you would have asked me in which venue will we see the higher scoring games, I think I probably would have said to you 100% we'll see the higher scoring games at Rogers Center. So to me, I agree with what you're saying here, but at the same time, I it's not like I don't trust Edmonton to win these low scoring games, So, like you said, you're getting a minus 130. You would absolutely be kicking yourself if they won this game 2-1 in overtime, right? And you took McDavid to get a point and over 2.5 goals, and the game finishes 2-1. That'd be a tough pill to swallow. It would be, but no, I get it, and I think that sometimes for the alternative, see, people like taking alternative totals. I'm a big fan of the alternative team totals if you're taking a look at those as far as the same game parlay or the alternate market there. But Carm, do you think that these guys are shuffling the lines up when they go home or they're keeping it the same? I'm very interested to see how they will use some of the players and their shift length. Take a look at the updated numbers. Zach Hyman, 23-23. As far as the previous game there, McDavid played 24-29. We look for Leon Draisaitl, 23-28. So as you see on the road, these guys play really reasonable numbers. Now, I'm curious, though, when they get the last change, when they get to go be at home and decide who they want to play against, does Chris Knoblauch bump those numbers up, Carm, from 23 minutes to 25, 26, maybe 27 if they get enough power plays? I'm not sure, but I'm curious to your thoughts on that. Do they keep them out there the same amount? Do they start jumbling the lines up more now that they're at home? I think that we talk about home ice advantage a lot during the playoffs, but for certain teams like this that have the superstars, it's really important for how the coach uses them.
I don't think, as far as if you're looking at the Oilers, I don't think Chris Knoblauch is going to do anything different than he did in the first couple of games, Andrew. I think the plan was to go to Dallas for the opening 2 games of this series and win at least one of those games, and they've accomplished that. As of this point, they have home ice. That only gets confirmed if you win tonight So you still have home ice leading into into game four, and then all the pressure is on the Dallas Stars at that point. Um, I don't think you can, if you look at the two games, I don't think you can take anything away that the Oilers played bad in that second game. They were right in it, an empty net goal. They were 1-1 heading into the third period in that game. It was anybody's game. I think the next goal in that game was going to win it. If the Oilers went up 2-1, I was pretty certain the Oilers were going to win that game. So I don't think anything changes today. I think the one thing that obviously does change is the fact that with the venue switch to Edmonton, now the Oilers get the last change. And Knobloch's been very good at adjusting his lines as far as putting the favorable matchups out there. Yeah, we saw something similar, I think, in the last round where he puts his top line out against the fourth line because of like icing calls, and he gets at least for 15 to 20 seconds, unless they can get a change done sooner. He's got the offensive zone with his best line against the third or fourth line from other teams. It worked great for him in the last round, and thus far in the playoffs. I think at home the line matchups will make a big difference here because it's now up to Dallas as far as how are we gonna match up our lines to try and slow these guys down. So I think it's an important part of the game is having that final change tonight. So I don't see him doing anything different as far as added minutes. These guys are going to get their power play minutes. It's still early in this series, and this isn't going to be a quick series. I think at this point here, neither one of these teams is going to roll over. This series should be going 6 games at the very least, 6 games, similar to what I thought the other series is going to go. The more hockey, the better. But I'm not worried. I don't think Knobloch has to worry, Andrew, about line changes. I think this is now up to Dallas, and Dallas has done a good job. When we talk about them on the road, we saw what they did in in Colorado, where they went in, beat them 3 times, and kept them to a goal in all 3 games. They played the perfect road hockey. They put it to the perfect road game, defensive game that you need to play. But the Edmonton Oilers are not the Colorado Avalanche. I think they have more scoring throughout their lineup and their lines that'll pose a problem for the Dallas Stars tonight. So we'll see if that comes to fruition or not.
I think that's a good point you raised there. I was so curious about what Edmonton would do being the home team, but now it's also about what's going to happen with Dallas and how they'll manage their players as well and their minutes. Carm, speaking of the player usage here, a player that I've been impressed with this round so far would be Evander Kane. Evander Kane over 2.5 shots on goal has cashed in 4 of his last 5 games. It's cashed in the first 2 games of this series. In fact, he had 5 shots in one game and 4 shots in the other to begin this series. And his number, again, is just at 2.5. And, people always say the depth is going to be what makes the difference for the Edmonton Oilers. If you take a look at some of these games where they've done well and McDavid and Draisaitl have not scored, it's typically been because of guys like Holloway and because of players like Evander Kane having themselves a good game. So between -120 and -125, that's the price you can get Evander Kane over 2.5 shots on goal, playing there on the second line minutes for some of the game, and also sometimes out there on the third line as well. So he's getting all kinds of minutes, and when he's out there, he is not shy to shoot the puck. And one thing great about him is that he'll take the puck to the dirty areas, he'll take the puck to the net, and all of that stuff counts towards the shots there. Carm, we talked about Stuart Skinner, a save prop. I kind of want to go back and look at the props this time for Jake Ottinger, because we look at Stuart Skinner, who's been at 24.5, but if we think the game has the chance to go over, if we think the game has a chance to be one-sided with Edmonton, we know, especially at home, that Jake Ottinger is going to see more rubber than a college dorm room. he is going to see a lot of shots going at him, man, all game long. I think that Jake Ottinger over on saves is going to be a really good bet tonight. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, he's definitely going to get pelted, Andrew. I was looking at like the save props as well too. His at I'm seeing a DK 27.5, Stuart Skinner 23.5. Again, I think I'm of the mindset, Andrew, that unlike the first two games in the series, the venue switch over to Edmonton, I think we might see some goals. And I didn't expect as many goals yesterday, but we saw two very tight games in New York at Madison Square Gardens, and then the venue switch over to Florida, and Game 3 was a little more wide open. You know, that game is 5-4 in OT, and there could have been even more goals in that game than the 9. So, whether we see it tonight. I had the shot prop in Game 2 on Igor Shesterkin. He fell, I think, one or two short. And then yesterday, Florida absolutely peppered him, and I think he had 33 or 34 saves, easily going over his shot prop. So maybe with the venue switch, the Oilers get more pucks at Jake Ottinger. Uh, he's a good goalie, so it's not as if he's going to get pulled in a game, Andrew. You know he's going to be there. It's not the regular season where you have to worry about shot props or goal or save props for goalies and them getting pulled. So I'd probably be right there with you on that one.
We'll see if we can get some shots in this one. I just hope for an exciting game here, Carm. We'll see if this is the first game to open up and really see all kinds of shots and all kinds of goals throughout this series, as we've seen back-to-back unders so far, one overtime game and one 3-1 game. And the funny thing is, Carm, we will say, and I'm sure you agree with me here, despite the 2-1 or 3-1, these games have been electric still. These games have definitely been electric, even despite the scoreboard saying 3-1. These have still been some really, really good games. That's for sure. So time will tell if we'll start seeing some goals fly in throughout the game. But it seems like the team that gets the lead really feels comfortable with protecting it. Right now, getting to 3 is the magic number in the playoffs. You don't even need 4 or 5 to win the game, it seems.
No, it doesn't. You needed them yesterday, but no, I get it.
Yeah.
Team scoring first obviously has the advantage normally in lower scoring games. But if nothing else, we have to say that I think we've been blessed with the two series matchups here. These have been great series matchups, and we're only two games into the Edmonton one. But how can you not look at the Florida New York Rangers one and say that you're seeing some great hockey? There's two teams absolutely competing. They played a couple of low scoring games. Now they play a high scoring game. We'll see what they do in Game 4. It's just great hockey. Put aside the betting angles or the betting aspect of these games, and if you're a fan of hockey, there's no way you could have watched 5 games thus far in the conference finals and said that you were not entertained. You're just as entertained with a 2-1 game as you are a 5-4 OT game, and we've seen
Right.
3 OT games in the 5 thus far. So we're getting a little extra hockey. This is great, and I don't know what the final matchups are going to be for the Stanley Cup, but the way it's going right now, I don't think you could find a bad pairing as far as who plays who from the East and West. I think it's going to be a great Stanley Cup Finals as well.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait, Carm. You know, a lot of people had New York versus Dallas, but then all of a sudden New York opened up as the fourth highest favorite. And then we saw Edmonton and Florida take game 1s of the series. Now things were tied up at one point. Now we see what New York was able to do yesterday. So we're in for a great one. We're in for a great conference final in the playoffs. So the Stanley Cup finals are going to be great. We're seeing a pick in this series that we just mentioned, and we're seeing the Rangers minus 160 in their series overall. As far as the futures are concerned, of course, plus 240 for the Rangers, Oilers plus 260, plus 260 for the Stars, and plus 380 for the Florida Panthers. But as you know, Carm, the ones that I really care about the most, and the one I think we should be looking at right now, Shesterkin plus 370 for the Conn Smythe Trophy, Ottinger 5-1, McDavid plus 650, Draisaitl plus 650, Barkov 10-1, Kachuk 13-1. What sticks out to you out of those? As you know, Carm, I have been touting that I really believe that a goaltender will win the Conn Smythe Trophy this year. There was actually a website, Bet365, that offered a position, which position will win the Conn Smythe Trophy. I locked that in at plus 125. But based on the future odds that you're seeing right now, you know, we got the Rangers plus 240, but Shesterkin plus 370. The Stars are plus 260, but Ottinger is plus 500. We've got the Oilers currently at plus 260, but both McDavid and Draisaitl are plus 650. Would you be inclined at all to jump in on the Conn Smythe market right now based on the odds for the Stanley Cup?
I don't know. They seem so low right now, Andrew. But I get your point. But the series could go either way. This is the thing. Dallas could win this series. Edmonton could win this series. And Florida and the Rangers, either one of those can win the one. So I get it. If it's, in hypotheticals, obviously, if it is a Dallas, New York Rangers Stanley Cup final, and you have Shesterkin at plus 370, and you have Jake Ottinger at plus 500, and those are DK prices. You can probably find them slightly higher elsewhere, but you have to do some line shopping. But to my point, if that's the final, Dallas and New York Rangers, and these are the two, those are the two teams. One of those goalies is going to win the Conn Smythe because I don't think there's been a standout player on Dallas. They've played as a unit. They've won as a unit, and they're playing. And Jake's playing extremely well. And then Igor Shesterkin, it's the same thing. There hasn't been one guy on the New York Rangers that I think you can just point him out and say, this is the guy who won them the Stanley Cup, or this is the guy who's gotten them through the first 3 rounds of the playoffs and into the Stanley Cup finals. Everyone's contributing a little bit, and at certain times, whether it's a Kreider who gets the hat trick, Panarin early on, but Panarin hasn't done much of late. Mika Zibanejad, although his antics, Andrew, in the last few games, man, you just touch him, and he's like a soccer player, an Italian soccer player from the 1980s. Yesterday, he high sticked himself, and it looked like he had been shot out of a cannon. The way he flopped around, the referees got it right. Came back from the commercial break and said it was his own stick that high sticked them, but. He's still an important part of that team, Mika. So there's not one guy that stands out on the Rangers other than their goalie. And so Igor wins it if the Rangers win the Stanley Cup. Jake wins it if Dallas wins the Stanley Cup. So if you'd like one of those teams to win the Stanley Cup, and the odds, as Andrew says, are lower than what the goalies are paying in the Conn Smythe, then maybe you take the goalies instead of the Conn Smythe. You switch to the Oilers, and it's going to be, unfortunately, even if Skinner steals it and stands on his head, it's going to be Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl, whoever contributes the most in the Cup Finals. And with Florida, I don't even think it would be Bobrovsky. It's going to be Barkov or it's going to be Matthew Tkachuk. And I think it likely goes to Matthew Tkachuk, and he's like 13-1. But the Florida Panthers have to win the Stanley Cup in order for you to cash that ticket. So those are my thoughts right now, Andrew. They're down 2-1 in the series, so it's going to be tough, tough sledding on those ones. But I get your point. To wrap this up quickly, that if you like the Rangers or you like the Dallas Stars to win the Stanley Cup, if you can get better odds on their goalie, then I would take the goalie to win the Conn Smythe.
Especially for those two teams, I really think it will be the case. And I'll throw my name in the hat there, Carmine. I'll just for the sake of the show, I'll pull the prez and just disagree with you. I'll go with Barkov for Florida. I'll throw Barkov out there just so we can mix it up a little bit. 10-1, but I do think that that next game is crucial for them to try and tie up that series. But yeah, I think, Carm, one problem that I have with futures betting, and I think a lot of people have that, I guess, is like you see a price. Let's say, you and I do a show every day together, every weekday, right? So if we saw a price, like I've been looking at the Jake Ottinger one and some of these, the Barkov one and some of these ones for like 2 weeks now, 3 weeks now. So if you saw a price on a future, it's like at the beginning of the Euro soccer tournament, you liked a team to win or win their group, and then 2 weeks later, the odds are way worse. You feel like you do not want to jump in anymore. But there's two different ways you can look at that. I'd be curious what other handicappers at WagerTalk would feel about this, but there's two different ways. You can, number one, realize what the price was before, what it is now compared to the other options. Or you can, number two, say, okay, you missed out, and just say, all right, I missed out, didn't get the better price. Or actually, at number three, you could forget about the past, look at towards the present, and just kind of move like that. Because Ottinger at plus 500 is still a good bet. However, you could have gotten Ottinger at about 17-1 about 3 weeks ago. So sometimes it can be tough looking at the past, but at the same time, that's not going to impact what you do today. And based on what we're seeing, only 4 teams left, Dallas being tied 1-1, he has been the mainstay MVP for that team. He still is a good bet at 5-1, although he was a way better number about 2 weeks ago, Carmen. And sometimes that stuff drives me crazy when I don't get in on a good number. But I did bring up the soccer Euro tournaments there. You've got some stuff going, Carm, some packages, some great deals for us. Anything else you want to mention about this game? And then let us know what you have going.
Yeah, one last quick thought. When I see guys in our live chat who ask questions, and we had a guy who asked questions, and he replied because we talked about it last week, and he replied that he held on, he took that ticket, which was the Dallas Stars at 16-1 after they went down in that Vegas Golden Knights series. Andrew, when I miss a price and I don't get it, but I see someone else has got this price, you got to cheer for them. You want someone to cash a 16-1 ticket. I'm a futures guy, so and I do it a lot in soccer. We're going to get to that in a second. But with tournaments, especially with tournaments, that's where I play all of my. But 95% of my futures in soccer are in tournaments. But when you see a guy with a ticket at 16-1, you got to cheer for him. So I hope the guy cashes his ticket because those are great prices. It's very hard to cash a ticket over 10-1 sometimes in the futures market. So 16-1, good luck to him with that ticket on Dallas Stars. Hopefully it cashes after they come back from a 2-1 deficit in this series because I'm on the Oilers tonight. So with that said, Andrew, yeah, Kelly Stewart and I recorded a Euro 2024, the last Euros in which Italy won. In that one, I gave out Italy in that one, and that wasn't an unbiased one. It was they were one of my dark horses in the 2020 Euros, which was played in 2021. It was delayed a year because of all the obviously COVID stuff that had gone on. And Italy won, beating England at Wembley Stadium in penalty kicks. But I don't have Italy winning the Euros this year, so don't worry. I have a completely different team at a good price. Kelly and I put a video together. I break it down because all of these bracket sites where you can play brackets on these things, whether it's run your pools, office pools, there's going to be a ton of these companies that are out running these bracket contests. I broke down the bracket, how I figure every group is going to finish, top 4 placings, the round of 16, the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. And so if you want to fill out your bracket and use a variation of those plays, watch that video. And then I have a Euro package up on the site, or a tournament package on the site. All 3 tournaments, which is the Euros, the Copa America, which is being played in the US for the first time first time ever. And I'm going to some of those games, Andrew. I'm going to go and see some of those teams, South American teams play in the US. And then the Leagues Cup in August. So there's about 2.5 months of soccer that you guys are going to get for $129. Every single play, every single future, every single prop, a ton of stuff. And I'm going to have a lot of daily content on my page here at on YouTube, Carmine Bianco page. I'll be loading up daily videos overnight or in the morning with a free play selection as well too, and those will be posted on the WagerTalk site as well too. So take advantage of those. As far as today, one baseball play up, very profitable May in baseball thus far, 14-7. NHL, 2 plays up for tonight. I think you guys have figured out what they might be. And one soccer play. Let's hope that this one wins because George Wood says that the onions are making him cry with some of these soccer picks of late. So let's get them all, guys. And best of luck. Drop a comment in the comment section below. Hit the like button while you're there and subscribe button. The comment I want you guys to leave is give me the final score of tonight's game. The final score, who wins and what the final score is. And I'm only going to pick one person. So if you get it right, it doesn't mean you win. But if you get it right and you're the only guy who got it right, or girl, you're going to win a PuckTime Be a Goldfish t-shirt. So I will get a few more made up to give out a few more contests on here. So pick the winner and the final score. Drop it in the comment section below, not in the live chat, in the comment section below. Andrew, take us out.
Carm, you are the man. I cannot wait to follow along with these soccer plays, and I love those Be a Goldfish t-shirts. So guys, comment below your predictions on tonight. Yeah, Carm, 2 baseball for me today. We've got 1 or 2 tennis plays as well. Might be adding more later on in the day as it's a big tennis major. And as you know, I sprinkle in those as well, just the big tournaments for the most part, as I feel like you mostly know what you're getting and you get that past history in the handicap. It's going to be a prop package for me tonight in the Edmonton and Dallas games. You guys can get that, of course, at WagerTalk. But a great special going right now that includes myself. Carmine has the package at his page too. It's our summer special, just under $6 a day or just over $40 for the week. You guys can join us on all of our plays through the entire summer. So that would be MLB, CFL, UFC, all kinds of great sports. And there's going to be so much going on. Even though people call it the dog days of summer, there's still a lot going on at wagertalk.com. So guys, please enjoy the game tonight. Hit the like button on this video. Show us some love. Other than that, we'll see you tomorrow right here on Puck Time.